Hello.
Hey.
How's it going? Um, so last week, we talked about how to support your kiddo when they're going off to college and that giving them that permission to change their minds. Um, but I think there's another big thing. So we were just talking about there's another really big elephant in the room, if you will, like when they leave for college or when they even just turn 18, and as parents, another big thing that you have to navigate. I figured I would start with just kind of a quick how I know. So when I was 18, I celebrated my 18th birthday by getting my nose pierced, and then shortly thereafter started getting tattoos, and then got more by the time you and I met, within 2 years I had my tongue pierced, I had my nose pierced, I had my navel pierced, I had my ears all the way pierced, I had tattoos, and I had all of this stuff, right? And then I had a faux hawk, and started getting into all of this really punk style. And I remember at one point my mom was like, I just don't get it. And when I found out I was pregnant, so I was 20, and I found out I was pregnant with our oldest. And at one point during my pregnancy, my mom was like, "Oh, I just can't wait for all of this stuff, all of everything that you've been doing. It's all gonna come right back." And I said, "Mom, I'm gonna understand it though. Like when my kids come home with tattoos and piercings, I'm gonna get it because I went through it." And she laughed and she said, "Here's the thing. They'll come up with something new." She was like, I was prepared. She was prepared to have certain conversations because she was also quite the little rebel. And that's not the conversations she ended up having or what she had to wrap her brain around. She's like, they come up with something new. And I was like, I don't, at the time I was cocky enough to be like, I don't see that happening. I think I'm going to understand. But
I know, yeah, they do. Because I know my mom had and dad had said something similar to about the way I behaved and the things I did in high school. Because they
yeah,
didn't really
there's
know any.
always that curse of
They didn't.
you.
Yeah, they didn't really understand. They didn't really know the
Mhm.
insights into the college life and all the things that
Or
happened
even, yeah.
there. And so they're like, "Yep, this is what you guys did. It's gonna come back when your kids are older.
And did you think at the time,
They're gonna it's
I'm
gonna
gonna
bite
get
you."
it though? I'm gonna understand? Because
No, I
you got
figured.
into the party scene.
I just assumed it was going to happen, and I'd get
You would,
it, but
oh,
I would
okay.
still get mad. I'd still,
You thought you'd get mad? You didn't think you'd understand it?
I both. I think I'd understand it, but I'd still be mad.
Huh. Interesting.
But to this,
What did you think you would be mad about if they followed in your footsteps? Just curious.
I don't know. Just it's all the thing. I don't know. I'm just mad at the house was trashed or
Okay.
the house was messy. Like even just messy or they got in trouble with the law or
Oh, well,
et cetera on
yeah. You were,
things that
yeah,
they
you
could
did
have
do some
done
of that.
or
Yeah.
reputation or just
That's fair.
your
Yeah.
name in the community.
Yeah.
Their name or our name.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
there's a lot where it's like, oh, they're gonna come back. It's gonna be. And I was like, oh, probably, but I'm ready, but I'm not. I'm gonna still get upset. So,
Yeah.
but to this date, they have not.
Well, we always say we count our blessings because our kids are not crazy partiers. They're not, although barring a recent incident in which our youngest called and said, "Just so you know, you might hear from the police." And then it just turns out that he was wandering around with his friends after curfew, after midnight, and they had to get escorted home. Whoops.
Yeah.
But and shout out to our wonderful PD department for being
Yeah.
amazing
Our
people.
kids.
Anyway, um,
Our kids are doing well on that aspect.
our kids are largely doing really really well. They're very responsible and mature that way, and I don't know how we got so lucky.
But on the other end,
On the other end,
when they, when our oldest
so
came home
yeah,
from the summer after his freshman year,
he did announce some stuff.
There were some things
without getting into crazy details,
and those are the things that
that threw both of us through a loop.
Yeah.
Like he was like, "Hey, here's some things that I'm getting really into, or communities that I want to be a part of," and we were like,
"No, I mean, I think yes, that all happened, and it was weird, and like things I don't understand, but it's also he did like just say like this is me, and this is how it's going to be."
Yeah.
Which was kind of like...
He was very bold about it.
He was very bold, and I was like, well, you're...
Which is actually kind of cool as a parent. Like, in the moment, you're like, oh.
But then it's also like, yeah, where I was taken back, where I was like... And then, I put up my... Like, no, this is... You're living here. There's still rules and expectations to be met. Like, I get you're an adult, but...
Yeah.
And we'll
Are you talking about, like...
When you moved home and you just, like... I'm a different person. I'm going to do this, and like I'm going to live a different way. And it's like, well, there's still you're living at home.
I'm more referencing like.
No, I'm just saying that part of it was.
There was part of it.
The way he just talked about
trying to flex his adultness, and you're like, well, but you live here, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think for me, just thinking about one of the things to be prepared for as parents when your kids go off to college, like that, like I was alluding to earlier, is that your kids are going to explore who they are at a different, like you're not going to be front and center. You're not going to be present all the time. Like our son in his first year of college, they're off on their own. They're living on their own. And so you can't always be there to have to like witness it. It's just that like sometimes they show up and they're trying on a different persona, or they're doing something new that you didn't see coming. Yeah. And that certainly happened.
And none of it's bad or good. It's just different.
It's just different. And so I think as a parent, what we were going to talk about today was how do you support your kid when they're in that exploration and they aren't living at home? And how do you like go about when you don't understand their choices? Not and so like, yeah, like how do you navigate in a way that like is healthy?
Yeah.
And so I think, for me, one of the things that like, first thing is I remember like calling a few people like and getting opinions too. Like this isn't just something that like either of us happened upon. It was like, hey, like here, you don't want to lose. I actually think about my Aunt Carol, who I've shouted out a lot of times, but I'm just going to keep doing that because I love you, Aunt Carol, and you have a lot of good advice. But one of the things that she had said was like, what you don't want to do is risk losing the voice that you do have in their life. And even thinking like hearkening back to like some things that my grandmother shared when she was a missionary, like, and she was living with the tribe doing some things that she was like, I don't like, this is weird. And at the same time, not like, you don't want to just be like, that's weird. Because then, what she would say is like, they'll just hide it from you. They'll keep doing it, but then you lose your voice. Like they don't want to trust you with it anymore. And so it's really hard as a parent. I think for me, what it's ended up coming down to is like thinking about those, like, what my Aunt Carol said too, like, you don't want to lose your voice in their life, thinking about what my grandma said. And so it's like, is what they're doing risking their health in some way, like mental health, physical health? Is what they're doing hurting somebody else? I think in those cases, you put, that's when you're like, nah, we're not, But I think if they're just exploring and becoming more of themselves, and there isn't like a big harm to their mental health or a big harm to their physical health or harm to other people, like trying your best to try to understand their choices rather than judge them, I guess, is what I'm trying to get after.
Yeah, I see that.
What do you think? What is your, like, when our kids
I mean, I don't.
say they want to try something different. What is your take on
Oh, it's probably the opposite, but
that?
it's more of I want them to know that I love them no matter what. Like,
Hmm.
you know, keep Portland weird and
Yeah.
do your
Like
do your
be
yeah,
weirdly
let your
yourself. Yeah.
let your flag fly, but to a point where it's like I still want to. I don't know, and I know it's not useful. It's not useful for them, but it's useful to me to just be like, I don't like that idea. Like honestly, I don't like it. I don't understand it,
Yeah.
but you know,
But we love you,
but I love you,
and that's,
and
yeah.
just be careful, or we're here if you need it. But
Yeah. Well, and I think there's like coaching.
yeah, because sometimes you and I do this too. It's where like you jump into something
Hmm.
because of another person or a group of people, and you just become immersed in that topic,
Hmm.
and it's harder to step away and take a look at all the different facets of it.
Yeah.
And as as his parent, I'm not in any of those things, and so
Hmm.
I can see one version. I can see the outside version, but I don't know what the inside scoop is on
Yeah.
why. But I can say, hey,
But I think that that's
this is what I
why,
don't understand, and this is why I'm kind of like, whoa.
yeah, I think when we don't understand the inside scoop, I think that's when it's most important to push in and try to understand the inside scoop. Like, I think about going back to like my own thing when I was getting piercings and tattoos and all of that. You know, um, the adults in my life had their opinions, and I will tell you that there were certain adults in my life who were like super upset, that I was doing that, and there were some that just thought it was kind of like, well, and it wasn't that they understood it, but they were like, yeah, like if you're not hurting yourself and you're not hurting other people, like explain, why did you want that, what, like, tell me more about it.
Yeah.
My stepdad was actually great at that. Like, he was like, tell me more, like, why, like, what made you want to do that. And not even just with the piercings, but it was sometimes just other life choices that I was making, like it was like a almost helping me cognitively process it by asking questions, where he was like, explain to me why you decided to do this thing.
Yeah.
And then I would try to explain it, and it's a lot of times I would end up hearing myself, and I was like, oh, that sounds stupider than I thought it would. Yeah. And so I'm like grateful for people in my life that were like, explain. And I also think that there's good, like there's also the people who gently, when the time allowed or when it was necessary, were like, hey, let's remember who you are. Um, but you can't have that remember who you are conversation unless you actually know them. And so it's like it's like that dichotomy of like,
Yeah.
you got to stay connected too.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about that, actually, just talking with my mom about that, like, as your kids become adults, like staying connected with them.
Yeah.
And the importance of that. Because,
yeah. I mean, I think that shows on. I think I tend to act or react to like our kids' choices in similar fashion to how my parents reacted when I did my things, and so it's.
yeah,
I feel like that's kind of like whether it's good or
that's
not.
your toolbox,
That's
because
just
that's what you were raised with.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of the go-to. Or like, well, that's weird.
And that's what worked for you.
I mean, yes and no. I mean, yes, and I also see the point of like if there would have been a different conversation, I would have been more open to listening than just hearing them, but as like
But not feeling as like
judged
by it. Yeah.
So I think there's love on both sides. One of them probably is more easy to approachable, versus the other one is more abrasive.
And I think,
but I think there's a place for both.
Absolutely,
to,
that's what
to
I
a
was just going to
point,
say.
but
Like,
it depends on the person.
you need
who you're
both
talking to, I
both
guess,
kind
too.
of people in your life. Those ones that are going to come beside you and say, "Hey, like, knock that off," and the ones that are going to be like, "Explain."
Yeah, for sure.
But I think that that's as parents something I guess I wish that like going, and the reason that it's important to share here is thinking about those who have those kids that are coming of that age and like maybe have those conversations now with your partner, with your spouse on like how are we going to handle this, but also so that you can be unified because I think that sometimes that like full disclosure like it's caused arguments between us before because like I react well like we just said I react very differently than you react.
Yeah, it's just like early in our marriage, like the differences in parenting.
Absolutely.
And
yeah.
how it's the same thing, just differences in parenting,
but now we have
parenting
an
and adults.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah, and like what is your role when you're when your kids are adults? And I think that that's worth having a conversation. We worked through it after the fact because that's what we do. We like to do things the hard way. And we're still working through it, like there's still times that we have to like sit and like, okay, how are we going to unified front this one because I want to react differently than you want to react and honoring that because you do need both. Like as much as I want to be like my way is the right way.
Yeah, and I think even thinking my parents there's still things they don't understand that we do.
For or sure.
That we like, and they're just like, that's not cool. That's dumb. And you're like, well,
I mean,
I like it, so
yeah.
There, so.
I mean, that's just because we let and I think that that's actually a testament to dynamics is that like we're still connected to our families and we still also have permission to be wildly ourselves. Mm-hmm. Getting I still have my piercings and I still have all of these, like I still have a different sense of style than a lot of people in my family.
Tattoos or how we spend our money or places we travel. I mean, there's all the things that people are like, what?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. Or even just like how we've raised our kids. I mean, there's like there's going to be things that you just don't get. And I think that you do need both perspectives. And it's not just like one way is the only way to do it. But I do think it's worth having that conversation with your person. Maybe even with your kids, like loop them in when this happens. How do you want, like, how is it, what would be helpful for us to say or do to remind you who you are?
Yeah. Especially with like, I think as they go off and they're by themselves, like, college, it can be extremely fun, but so having those conversations and like drugs or alcohol or people that you surround yourself with are important.
Once they move out, your window of voice becomes like the 30 minutes that it took to eat dinner one night when they came over and then they're out again or taking them out or doing, like there's going to be like in that first year, it was like we saw Dylan like once a month.
Yeah.
And so your voice becomes so limited. How do you want that to go?
Yeah.
With your limited time, what do you want to speak into your child, and how do you want those conversations to happen? I think that's worth definitely having that conversation. Like I said, we've had that conversation after the fact.
Yeah, and I think you want to leave it so it's open, where if they do have questions, that they know they can
be
ask.
Approachable.
Yeah.
If you judge too quickly, then you're just going to shut them down,
Yeah.
Which is hard to do sometimes. When there's some things they say that are that are difficult in that moment to not like, oh,
yeah,
this is okay.
I mean, it's like listening to politics. And some people, you're like, well,
yeah,
you need to get out of the echo chamber and.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you're right. It's like communication in any other like mode on how do you remain open, but especially with your kids, because I do think 18 is still really young, and you have a lot of, like, I had a lot of growing up to do at 18. You did too.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful that there's adults in our life who didn't just see it as like, you're 18 and good luck.
Yeah.
Because I needed the coaching. You needed the coaching.
Yeah, for a long time.
Yeah. Still need the coaching. I still lean on those people heavily when I need advice. So, yeah, it's about that time. We like to keep these at 20 minutes. So, that's the other big thing, I guess, was like,
yeah, how to support your kids.
How to support them once they leave the nest, if you will. So, one of the other big things is just
and I to end on it, I think the amount of openness, the communication, admitting mistakes, or whether it's this is what happened. Like I've walked this path. This is what happens. Like be honest and open about past failures.
Yeah.
And so they know, like, oh,
that does help make you approachable. Yeah.
So they know, like,
I'm not coming from this perspective of I've done everything right. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. It's good advice, babe. Good job. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Have a good day. Rest of your day. Talk to you later.